Slingin Dirt Media, I'm DJ Smallwood. I'm in the shop with the B1 bomber, Brent, Larson. Brent, hey man, thanks for taking some time and having me up, man.
Yeah, it's awesome.
This
cool.
is not what I expected, dude. This is a pretty big place you got here.
Yeah, well, up here in Minnesota, we have to keep everything inside all year long. So we just moved in here last December. We were in a little smaller shop, and they plowed that over and made a parking lot or a park and ride deal or something out of it. So we got a little relocation money to come over here, and we have a pretty nice place.
It seems like it's always bad when a place is more valuable as a parking place than a actual business, I guess.
Right, yeah. But it's all, the building we're in has a bunch of industrial places like semi-truck stuff and electricians and you know, so it's like a mix of kind of builders and industrial
It's an
clients.
industrial warehouse type park place business.
Yep, so it works out pretty good. Sometimes we will use each other's services or help each other out with something or whatever, so it's a pretty good deal.
Yeah. So what, outside of racing, what do you do for a living?
I mostly just race. I'll fabricate some race cars, make some things up, which is what I did before I kind of went to more full-time, but for the most part I'm fortunate enough to just race, and then I'll handle I do some sheet metal fabrication stuff for some projects. Occasionally some race cars, but I kind of shy away from that more. I do some work for some of the people in our building here and there, and some little things, but a lot of racing, pretty much 90% that. So
how did you get started? Tell me, how old were you? And just walk me through. What was it like? How did you get started?
Yeah, so my dad was always in racing, and
so a second generation driver.
Yep. And so as long as I can remember, like my dad's going to the races and I'm begging him to go with, and sometime he'd take me and sometime he wouldn't. And I mean, from like early age, like 2-3 years old, I remember waiting up for him to come back home, like, and ask him what happened and who won and all that. Like I wanted to show him that I could have gone and I wasn't going to fall asleep and he wasn't going to have to carry me around, you know. So I'd wait till 1 or 2 in the morning when he came back and ask him all about it. So I just grew up with it in my blood, and then I really didn't race at a younger age, but we were saving up for some new snowmobiles when I was like 14, 15 years old, and we had enough money saved up for some sleds, and my dad's like, hey, you know, with all the money we've got put aside for that, we could probably buy a race car or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, now we're talking.
Now we're talking.
So
what snowmobile?
Yeah, right. So we ended up with snowmobiles anyhow, but we got ourselves a race car, super stock class around home here. It's kind of an entry level or hobby level car, and got an old car and started fixing it up and working on it. And
now you still have some pictures. You got some pictures of this thing somewhere, don't you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I need pictures.
Okay.
So I can blend some pictures in, and
Yep.
It makes it good.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll find my first year. My kids always have a good few laughs whenever they find Dad when he was 16 years old racing. So
they look at these cars and like, these are like Flintstone mobiles back then.
Yeah.
Compared to what they're running now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Yeah. Well, it's kind of cool. My kids started off in the same class. This is his car. Here, and I think his car was made 10 years after I started racing, so it's ancient. It's older than he is, but it's kind of cool.
This is the car you said was a year older than he is.
It's actually 3 years older than he is. Yeah, he's almost 18, and this car.
But it's still fast. It still wins.
Yep. He's won with it. Yeah. So it's good starter class for both of us to get into.
Right.
And I moved up from there, and now he's starting to move up some too. So. Yep. When I was so I started off in that class. My dad helped me out a bunch, and then when I was 18, I graduated high school. I run the super stock class for 3 years, my sophomore, junior, and senior year of high school, and then I decided I wanted to race late models, which is what I always wanted to do. And my dad wasn't really all for it yet. He was like, I think he needed another year in this class, or I think maybe he needed another year to prepare for it. I'm not sure, but
Dad wasn't ready.
Dad wasn't ready, and I was. And so after my senior year of high school, I approached one of the local car owners and asked, we worked out a deal where I could buy a car from him. and I basically just took a loan out from him and just paid him monthly to buy my own late model motor.
All of your earnings every week went to
Yep. I just like paid that guy forever. Like I think it was probably a couple of years. I probably wasn't even in that car anymore when I finally
still paying on it.
Yeah. And I like brought the check down to him, and we all kind of laughed like this is the last one,
The last payment. Yeah. Whatever happened to that car? I don't know, but here's the last payment.
Yeah. So that's how I got into late model racing. I was like, I'm going late model racing, and I found somebody that would lend me the money and
give you an opportunity, and there it was.
Yep.
One way or another, whether you had to pay for that opportunity, there it was.
Yep.
So was Dad a late model racer, or what did Dad race?
He raced like limited late models. He raced in the mid '70s, and he won a bunch of races and a couple track championships out at Cedar Lake.
Okay.
And then he quit racing when I was born, and then he started again in the '80s, and then he took over my super stock once I bought a late model and raced that for a while.
Oh, that's cool.
And then he's dabbled in it on and off since then.
Yeah.
So he still races some now in like a crate late model.
Did you guys ever race at the same time, same class, or ever race each other?
Yeah, for a while. When I raced like with soda late models around home, then he had one as well. So we did race a handful of races against each other a little bit.
Yeah, those are cool. I've got a few buddies, that they were very fortunate. They've got to race their dad, and they got some really cool pictures. It's like, man, that's just like that money shot right there. You can't replace that picture right there.
Yeah, I'll definitely send you over a picture of that too. I've got the 3 generations together.
Oh yeah.
But now this year, my son will be racing crates too. So my dad and my son will be racing against each other.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
nice.
so that'll be interesting.
Yeah. We used to have down home at like Florence. We used to have a. God, this was way before I was racing. It was they had a sportsman class. It was a limited late model type thing. It was a front clip type car, but they still had the bigger tires. So it really essentially kind of looked just like a late model. You wouldn't know the difference, but it had a front clip on it. You know, and some of our really good racers back in the 80s and 90s, those guys came out of that sportsman class and moved into late models, and man, you really seen some good racing back then. I'm not saying you don't see good racing nowadays, but man, it was amazing back then. There was plenty of cars and the drivers, the talent. I mean, it was there.
Yeah, the cars back then, like when I got started, and even when I got in late models, like I feel like they were harder to drive, and you couldn't really buy technology. You had to figure it out on your own.
It was ingenuity.
Yeah, and so I felt like it was easier to pass people then, and
what kind of car was that first one? Was that a Masterbuilt?
The first late model I bought was a Masters built. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a monoleaf car.
Okay.
And it was actually, they call it a combo car, so it could be a 4-bar or like a monoleaf, and I ran it as a monoleaf.
Yeah.
And my first year was kind of a learning year, but I won 2 late model races my second year in late models around home, so that was
not bad.
It's a pretty decent start for a kid. Yeah. For a 19-year-old kid that owned his own stuff, took a loan out to do it, you know. So.
And somehow that has led to now running the World of Outlaw Series, and here you are.
Yeah. So I mean, I raced around. I'd always wanted to do what I'm doing now. It's always been my dream since I was a little kid.
Right.
And I raced pretty good around home. And I don't think a lot of people I don't think they understand how difficult it is to race at this level. Like, I mean, there's a lot of guys that are superstars around home that can't hang, and I'm kind of one of those guys myself. I can't really hang, but I'm still out doing it and living my dreams. So I raced around home, won a bunch of races around home, won a bunch of championships around home. Just kind of in the Midwest area on our Wasota deal, which is like a 360 steel block motor. They're way different than like the open late model stuff we run, late models, but way less horsepower. around home you can make mistakes and still win races, and you can't do that.
Yeah, you can't
level.
do that on this level.
No,
yeah.
no. I mean, like I go back and watch the videos or watch the guys around home now, and like no disrespect, but you can make mistakes all day long and still win races, you know, and you can't do that at this level at all.
No, there's like zero room.
Yeah.
Learning is you really need to learn before you do this deal.
Yep.
I mean, you're still going to learn some, but there's a lot there.
Yeah. So I raced around home, then I got into USMTS and traveled in that modified series for a couple of years, kind of dabbled in that.
How did you like the modifieds?
They're fun. I did enjoy it. Yeah. I feel like that the modified racing is kind of a step back towards that. You can still pass, and you know, use some creativity in your setups and some of that. That's starting to change now too. You know, it's getting more and more competitive and the same.
A finicky animal, those little cars are.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
Yeah, when I raced in like 13, 14, 15, when I was racing USMTS, I felt like, you know, if you were good, you could pass cars. You know, and that's what I think has gotten so tough about racing now is you can be really good, you could be fast, but like, you know, you might still not be able to pass somebody or whatever, you know. And but back then I felt like you could, if you were good and you had a good car and you hit it right, you know, you could come from the back and come up a long ways, you know.
You can still see that a lot at some of the local and regional levels where, and you get on the road, you're not seeing. It's not very often you see a guy come in a heat, especially a heat race or something like that. Or I mean, the features are even. It seems less and less anymore where guys can make a charge from the rear. You know, I don't know if some of that has gotten away from like the tires.
Yeah.
Everybody's basically on the same stuff. So that's kind of taken away some of the gambling where guys can gamble on tires, and you know, some guys are going to come in later or earlier, and that's going to change your race as it goes. Now I feel like we don't have that as much, so it's like.
Yeah, all of our technology is so close. I mean, we're working with a lot of the same people. There's only 2 or 3 chassis manufacturers that are really on top of it, and we're all half turn away from each other, or a little bit of rebound, or you know, whatever. So, but yeah, so that USMTS deal got me used to traveling a little bit, and then Arnie Ranta was one of our local guys up here that sponsored and owned cars.
Okay.
And he had always kind of talked about getting together with me and doing something, and I think it would have been 16. He said, beginning of 16, he said, hey, like, let's put something together, like, let's get something going. And I called to wish him, like, Happy Easter, I think, and then he's told me, like, let's get something going or whatever, you know. And I said, let me think it over for a week and see what makes sense. And I called him back, and then a few days later there was a car and a couple motors laid in my shop, and we started dabbling around with some super late model racing and doing a little bit of traveling. Really wasn't set up for it, you know. I didn't know what I was getting into or what we're doing. It's like being in a whole different class, you know. I mean,
it's a whole new world.
So I mean, we were going to places I hadn't heard of. Like I didn't know like what MLRA was, or like Lucas or World of Outlaws. I mean, like I knew some of that, but I'm like, what's this race in Davenport, Iowa? Where's Davenport, Iowa? What do we need for tires? Like, I mean, it was all like just a foreign concept to me. And so we got in, started running some races and ran pretty well in a few of them with the MLRA shows and some regional things, and just kind of been dabbling and picking away at it since. And then I raced for Arnie for 2 or 3 years, and he had cancer when we started racing, and his cancer got worse when during that time, and he decided that he didn't want to own a team anymore, because he's like, I don't know where my cancer is going, and I don't want to be in the middle, you know, have something turn south and be trying to decide what to do with his team and all that. So he, I think it was the end of 2018, I want to say, and he said, like, you're gonna need to either find a sponsor or buy the team
Yeah.
or something. And he said, you know, like he told me to go home and get back home and get everything cleaned up and ready to race. That it's got to be ready to race either way.
Either way.
And like I think it was not more than 2 weeks from the time we were supposed to go down for Florida for the Outlaw race.
Okay.
And I got myself a sponsor, and then I took out a loan on my house and took out a loan for the hauler. And I bought everything from him. So
Yeah.
I bought the whole team from him, you know, and now I own everything myself.
Yeah. I know. I feel like I've always seen his name on your car somewhere. Or just, as long as I can remember who Brent Larson is, I've always seen that name associated with you somehow.
Yeah.
That's where it came from.
Yep.
Okay.
He really gave me a chance, gave me a start, you know, and wanted to have somebody from around home that he brought on the road.
Right.
And so, yeah, he gave me my opportunity to race nationally, and then I bought it out from him and keep it going. So
how long have you been doing the national level?
We really didn't even. I don't think we went any further than a few hours from home in 16, and then in 17 we ran I think about 100 races, and we raced a good chunk of the summer nationals and kind of bounced all over the place.
Yeah.
And then I think it was 18 was my first year with the Outlaws. I think I got that right.
In 18?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I might be off a year, but I'm pretty sure that's how it went. So it's been, I guess, 6 years now.
Okay.
So
now you're getting more comfortable, more familiar with the Davenport, Iowas, or the there's one right on the tip of my head, the off-road speedway.
Yeah, right. Yeah. All the different places. Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah. I felt like this year. I mean, I knew this was a big step for me going on with the Outlaws this year. I've seen a lot of tracks I've never been to. Half of them I've probably never even heard of.
Yeah.
Actually, there's only on the whole schedule. There's only 2 tracks on the whole schedule that I've ever been to before.
Okay.
I've been to Brownstown and I've been to Atomic. Both of those are about a 2-hour window from my house.
Yeah.
Been to both of those before. Everything else was brand new. So it's a little bit. I mean, not that I was learning, but every track layout is a little bit different. Where do you come on? Where do you go off? And that kind of thing is different on almost everywhere you go. Like, okay, so it's like every week I'm having to readjust and relearn. Okay, what are we doing here? How are we doing this? You know, so yeah, I felt like, I mean, I've been around the sport all my life.
Yeah.
I felt like I knew a lot. I felt like I learned more this year than I knew.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's how it was for me too. I mean, when I got into it, our tire rule was more open, and I had no idea what a 1300 or 1325 or a 1450 or a rib or a spec or a wide or, you know, all that. I had to learn all that. And then, so, you know, you're learning the tire thing. You're learning how the cars work with an open motor. And then all the different types of dirt is so crazy too, you know. I mean, like and the way you got to race the different types of dirt. Like, I mean, like some of them you got to wheel spin at. Well, you don't wheel spin around here like ever. I mean, you always want to keep the car on the ground, and some of them you got to be bent. Like, you can't steer on the fluffy kind of dirt in Pennsylvania sometimes. So it's like you got to stay bent, and so I think just learning all the different types of dirt along with the tires. Like, that is a huge learning curve. Like, there's a lot to digest in that.
It's a lot of people don't know, and you know, I have some viewers and people that watch, and you know, they love the educational part of it, you know, because they don't know what they don't know, you know, and you don't realize how much different the dirt is across America. I mean, Mississippi Thunder and State Line, New York is nothing like Volusia. I mean, it's completely
or East
different.
Bay, or I mean, for sure.
These surfaces that you guys are racing on it's different everywhere you go. I mean, you start getting okay, this is gonna feel something like this, or you know, you have a couple tracks in Kentucky, Paducah and Ponderosa, a little similar, but that doesn't carry over everywhere.
Right. Yeah, that was a huge learning curve, and still can be a little bit, but I've gotten around to a lot of different types of surfaces now a little bit more, and now we're on kind of this the unified tire thing, which takes that out of the equation.
Okay, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? Your opinion. It's a total opinion. There's no right or wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it's way easier now. You know, I mean, there was a time, well, before I was doing this, there was a time where these guys were running around with 50, 60 mounted tires or whatever, you know, and
there's that.
You know, so that, yeah.
There's that.
But even when I was doing it, when I started on it, I mean, we had 24 different tires we could run without ever having a spare, you know? So I mean, I don't know, it was fun, and you could definitely tune with the tire, and I felt like we could be more creative in our racing, you know, and you could pick the tire to suit you right and try to drive your, you know, pick a soft tire and be conservative in your driving style, and you know, and try to make it hold on, or pick a hard tire and wait for it to come in and whatever. I think all that's fun. I kind of wish, I don't mind the 4 tires we have now. I wish they'd just let us run all of them. Never be like it's 3s over here and 2s over there and a 3 or 4 here. Right. Just be like, these are the tires you got. You can run them
wherever you want,
whenever you want, whenever you want. You know, and
put a little bit more of a gameplay into it.
Yeah. I mean, we probably had too much of a gameplay in it at one time, but I wish we would just open it up and be like, these are our tire. This is what we've got for tires now. Yeah. And like, never talk to us about it again. You know? So.
Kenny, I like you, but I don't need to see you every week.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like, I don't know. That's just my opinion on it, but it's definitely easier now. I think we're in such a small box now. Our box just keeps getting smaller and smaller. Yeah, like it used to be here, and just between rules, which I realize they got to be there, you know. Yeah. But tires and how we can all buy technology, or how it's so available now, like our box just keeps getting smaller and smaller
and tighter.
And it's like, you know, if you're 2/10 off in qualifying, you're in the 3rd or 4th row now, you know.
Yeah. And it's huge.
Yeah. Or you know, you can be really good. Like I passed a race with a lot of really good race cars this year and finished 8th or 9th or 10th. It's like I might pass Bishop or Madden or somebody good, you know, and still finish 8th or 9th or 10th or something, you know. And it's like, they're having an off night or whatever. But I mean, what I'm getting at is like it's just so tough to excel and get kind of to that next step. I mean, you gotta
give be good consistently.
Yeah, like you gotta give a lot of credit to like Bobby and RTJ and those guys, because there's only 2 or 3 in the country who are like that right now. But I mean, the rest of these guys, you know, they're bouncing around anywhere from 2nd to 12th, you know, and it's like, and you could just be the smallest turn or click away from being a 2nd or 12th place car, you know.
Sure. So you mentioned Bobby, RTJ. I have a lot of conversations and talk about racing a lot. Something that's kind of came up, a couple things. One, we kind of feel like maybe I'm not saying Bobby is the next Bloomquist. Let me go into detail here. Bobby is getting the fan reaction that Bloomquist used to get. You know, it was, you go to Eldora, when they say Scott Bloomquist, it was boos and it was cheers and people loved him and hate him. And I feel like we're kind of starting to see that when they say Bobby Pierce's name a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
So speaking of the next Bloomquist, I don't know, man, he was so good for so long. With the way that the cars are nowadays, it's like you see guys that have a few good years, not a long span of great years like that. Now, what do you think? Is it the cars? Is it where we're at now, or things were just that much different back then or versus now? I mean, the guy's still good. I mean, he just set fast time in Charlotte.
I guess I don't know a lot as much about it from when he was so fast and so good, you know. I mean, like he started slowing down a little bit as I was starting to get in the super late model stuff, but I feel like we have so many like good engineers and good technicians now. I feel like Scott's got a really creative imagination, and he's smart, and he understands things, and he's done a lot of testing. But I think his dad had a lot to do with kind of giving him an engineering mindset, but he didn't like, from my understanding, he didn't like go to engineering school per se, you know, or have a degree or anything.
He was just very creative, you know, good or bad, or however you want to say it. You know, maybe some of that just depended on which spaceship he got off of.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, but now we're seeing, you know, engineers trickle into our sport, and we've got a lot of cup technology kind of trickling down, or engineers trickling down. We've got data, we've got shakedowns, we've got, you know, all sorts of stuff happening, and all that gets spread out across the board. And so it's not kept within inside one guy anymore, you know. I mean, there was only a few people that were able to give Scott enough money to get, you know, 50% of what he was doing or whatever, you know.
Or some of that technology starts trickling down to levels and stuff. Yeah.
But now, like, you know, if you wanna pay somebody enough, like, you can go put data on your car, and you can test, and you can go to their shop, you can hire an engineer, you can, you know, and so.
And a lot of teams have this.
Yeah, and so it's just more accessible. The technology is more accessible, and it's easy to like pick up an engineer for a while and start running well and take off with that, and you might be good for a couple, 2-3 years off what you learned, and then you know, they're learning something with somebody else, and it's like, now you gotta play catch up again. You gotta hire that engineer.
I feel
or
like
work
it's
on
a
that
revolving
stuff.
door.
Yeah,
I feel like it is. It's you know, guys are hit on something, and then they're going to be good for a little while, and then they try something different, or somebody else is learning something different, and it's just a constant revolving door here.
Yeah, it never stops now, and now there's enough players in the game that it's just always got you on your toes. And I think there'll be people that have years like RTJ and Bobby, you know, going forward, but I don't think you're going to see years of domination, and I don't think, I mean, even this year,
Davenport, he was hot for a few years.
Yeah.
Now he's kind of on that.
But you just don't see, even in as many races, I'm just trying to think, like, I mean, Bobby and RTJ, they won their races, but man, some of them are pretty close.
Yes.
Like, I mean, they had to work for it. I mean, they didn't just like lap the field or walk away with it. You know what I mean?
They earned some of those wins.
Yeah. I mean,
okay, they earned a lot of those wins.
Well, yeah, their cars were good, and they had to drive them hard. You know, and they did a good job. But they didn't just statistically they dominated. You know,
they did. Yeah.
But like, they didn't dominate on the track night in and night out.
Yeah.
You know, if you just look at their stats, you're like, well, they kicked everybody's ass.
Ass.
But I mean, if you watch some of his races, it's like, well, he barely won that thing. You know, he's just held on or just squeaked that out or whatever. You know,
So the tracks you go to, you're all over the place. Is there a particular one that's like, man, I look forward. That's my favorite. I can't wait to go back.
I'm not a big favorites kind of guy, just in anything. You know, like I don't have a favorite color or favorite this.
Don't
or
have
that.
a favorite food or favorite restaurant? Because I'm
really
getting to that.
Yeah, okay. There's places I like to go.
Yeah.
But I guess I don't know. I always say this. This is what I always try to tell like Francis or anybody else. I'm like, listen, it's really this simple. Like, we need to race 3 to 4 times a week, 3 weeks a month, in temperatures between 45 and 95 on tracks that we can race at least 2 to 3 wide.
Okay.
Like, if we can just do that, I'm happy. Everybody's happy. So honestly, like, anywhere we can go race 3 wide, like, I like it. You know? I like tracks where there's a middle.
Sure.
Like, I know that people, like, you know, they wanna race on the bottom or on the top, you know, and all that, but But to me, good racetracks have 3 grooves, you know.
For the fans, when you see 3 cars, or at worst, if you got 4 cars that are mixing it up, and those 4 cars are constantly changing spots, that's you can't ask for much better than that.
That's what I think. That's the best. I mean, to some degree, I feel like our sport's being sensationalized a little bit lately. You know, rough track character, rough tracks. You know, a lot of the races have been won on the cushion, stuff like that. But to me, the best dirt late model racing has to offer is 3 to 4 wide racing.
Yeah.
You know, and we just don't
put on a show.
Yeah. I mean, I remember when I would watch like Cedar Lake growing up, watch the Nationals and watch these guys coming to town, and like somebody was good on the top, somebody was good on the bottom, and somebody was good in the middle, and it was like they were racing 3 wide, and you couldn't hardly tell like there was a dominant line, or it was just like somebody was good in all parts of the track, and that I think that's the best dirt late model racing has to offer. I think it's unique. I don't think you see it many other forms of racing like that, you know.
Right. You know. I, personally, myself, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I mean, I would be okay if the cars were a second slower, if the racing was better.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great to see a guy just blasting around the top, and that's fast, and that looks cool. But if you just got everybody doing that, that's not as cool. Now, if you've got guys that are just a tick slower, but man, they're mixing it up and all over the place. Man, you're on the edge of your seat the whole time.
Yeah, and from the driving standpoint, it's far more exhilarating to, you know, try to have the choices, you know, and to be able to drive through the middle, or, you know, like if you could get, it's like playing a video game, like when you're in the early stages and you're just way better than the competition, and it's I can go I'll just pass them here, or I'll pass them over there, or I'll just go wherever I want, you know, but
kind of like Bobby did some this year.
Yeah, right, exactly. But I mean, there's a lot of places I feel like we go where it's like you got to be on the top or you got to be on the bottom, and it's like and it's almost kind of a little bit defeating or demoralizing, because it's like it doesn't matter how fast I am or how good I am. Like I can't get by this dude in front of me because he's in this place I gotta be.
And if I move him, then I'm a bad guy.
Yep. So
I've told people there's 2 particular races that stand out in my mind. It is by far the best races I've ever seen in my life. One of them was a stock car race at Eldora. It was, do you remember when they had the preludes?
Yeah.
And they had the NASCAR drivers, and so man, everybody was. It was, you could tell everybody was there for the NASCAR. It was NASCAR.
Mm-hmm.
In between, when people were going to concessions or bathrooms, then they would run their modified or their stock car class. People are not paying attention. They're not watching the stock car class.
Those are some of the best races.
Ernie Woodward and Jeff Babcock, they changed positions minimum 5 times every single lap for this whole race. I'm sitting there watching this like, these people have no idea what they're missing. I'm like, nobody's watching this race, and this is like one of the best races. They call it traffic, and they're in and out of traffic, and they're this and that, and it's like at the line, every single lap, there was a different leader. And then, like I said, they pass each other back and forth so much. It's like, that was one of the best races I've ever seen in my life. It was a stock car class.
Yep.
You know?
I believe it.
Down at Florence, Kentucky, one of the north-south we had. This has been years ago. This was back when Florence was known as black ice.
Okay.
Top to bottom, it was black slick, and you could see the reflection of the cars on the track. The last 50 laps of the race, the second 50 laps, everybody was on their feet the entire time because your front 4 cars were on mixing it up, and you could touch all 4 with a blanket. You didn't know who was going to win until that last lap. I mean, it was amazing. Right now, I don't remember who won. But I remember that race was amazing.
Right. Yep. Yeah, I feel like we have a little less and less of that, you know.
Yeah.
But I do think that's what is the best about our sport, you know. I think that's the best we have to offer. I think that should be our goal, is to have 3 wide racetracks.
I feel like we've lost 2, and I don't know if this is a good or bad thing. The guys that can lay back a little bit and saving equipment and coming in late. There's no laying back. It's go hard all the time,
from
every
lap 1,
You are 100% every lap.
I know, like when I first started running some longer races in the super lates, I would like try to save, and you know, and I'd come in and I'm like, I'd have way more tire left than I needed or whatever. I'm just like,
why was I being so concerned?
After a little bit, I'm like, You know,
nobody else is being conservative.
Just go all out all the
Send
time.
it.
You know,
Full send.
Yep. So that's how it is now. I worked with a kid. Yeah, I took care of his program with a pavement kid that wanted to do some dirt racing.
Okay.
And I'd prepare his car for him, bring it to the track, and show up and run it. And I tried to teach him a little bit about how to drive in dirt and whatever. And the thing he said is he would say every night, he's like, I just can't get over how, when the green flag drops, everybody is just now, right now. There's no, let's see how this first corner goes, or let's let this work out on the first lap a little bit, or he's there's no patience or strategy. It's just the green flag drops and it's all game on right now. You know?
Yeah. I don't know. I've tried to consistently remind guys, you can't win this in the first lap.
Yeah.
Give and take. Have some patience. It's a lot of racing to go here. Yep. You can't win it all now.
Yep.
But that's how it is.
It is. Yeah, you make your most spots up the first few laps if you're going to mix them up, you know. And so.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Brent outside the race car. You know, you and Mel make a lot of food at the racetrack. You guys don't eat out a whole lot. Do you guys have a favorite restaurant? Do you guys ever go out to restaurants?
Oh yeah, we do. We have a place just down the street from here that's kind of our local hangout.
Okay.
And we go over there probably once a week. It's called Lakewood Tavern, and we just go over there and have a drink or two, an appetizer, and play pull tabs a little bit. We know the staff, you know, and so it's just kind of our local hangout. On the road, if we're going somewhere, it seems like we're always going to Buffalo Wild Wings or Applebee's, not because it's our favorite places to eat, but they're just the ones that are open the latest. Yeah. We usually, if we're heading down somewhere, we'll usually take our time getting down to a race that's far away, and we'll park at 9, 10 o'clock and get a beer and a bite to eat and call it a night. When we're on the way home, we're just we're getting home as quick as we can, but on the way down, we usually take our time. And it's Applebee's or Buffalo Wild Wings are the only things that are open at 11, 12 o'clock, you know, so we always end up there. But I don't know. I like steak and like a beer, you know, Texas Roadhouse or a good steak place. Right. But again, I'm not a huge favorites guy or whatever, you know, so.
So here's my theory on B-dubs. I love it. It's good. I think their marketing is backwards. I think they're a burger joint. It has wings. If they would market their burgers, I think by far their burgers are way better than their wings. I'm not saying their wings are bad. Their burgers are great, man.
I don't know if I've ever had a burger there. I feel like every time I go there, I have the exact same thing.
Yeah, okay. You got to try it. Go get one of their smash burgers. they're freaking good.
Yeah. I always have chips and queso.
Yeah.
And snack size honey barbecue boneless. And then I get a little thing of fries with Chipotle barbecue seasoning and a side of ranch. Yeah. That's my go-to every time.
That's the go-to, huh?
That's it.
There you go. Well, hey, I highly recommend. You got to try the burger one time.
I will. I'm sure we'll have a chance soon.
Yeah, soon, probably. Real soon, probably.
Yeah.
Okay. Man, we've kind of touched on a lot. I think we've really put you out there. I like it. I think it's been a great episode. Anybody, before we wrap up, anybody you definitely need to make sure you think for everything?
Well, I feel, everybody thinks they're sponsors, and I do. They're in my car, and you can see them. But I think, obviously my dad and my parents gave me a chance to live out my dream, and they still continue to,
Nice.
And so as much as I own my own stuff, he helps make it happen and fills in the gaps and all that kind of stuff. Both my parents do, and so that's awesome. And I definitely would never have gotten any kind of racing at all if it wasn't for them.
Yeah.
My kids, my son is almost 18 and my daughter is 20, and they've had to go through a lot to have me racing and growing up racing. And when we were around home, it was a lot easier for them. Traveling, they've had a really unique life, and they've got some experiences that a lot of kids haven't been able to have, but they've also had some challenges and struggles, and and they've had to sacrifice some things in order for me to do what I do.
Yeah.
So, you know, I really appreciate that and value that. And then, yeah, my wife, you know, tire, can we say that on here?
Say whatever you want.
Tire bitch. She, you know, she's like all in. Like, I feel like she's in more than I'm in, you know?
Okay.
I mean, she would sell the house and live in a cardboard box just so we could keep racing.
So we can keep racing.
Yeah, I mean, she's like all in. And
hey, as long as she keeps making crock pot food, making
yeah.
food, I'm good.
Yeah.
Let's have her there.
Yeah. No, her personality, like, she just fits good, and
yeah.
she works hard, and she puts up with me. I have to put up with her. We're both are unique individuals, you know.
Right.
We're probably challenging to be married to or whatever, but we make a pretty good team, and she puts a lot into it, you know, and makes it what it is. And,
yeah.
I've got a good crew guy right now. I'm thankful for his help, and I'm sure I'm missing some people, you know. Of course, Arnie, he passed away this year, but he got me to this level, gave me a shot at this level, and
yeah.
thankful to him. But there's been so many people along the way that, you know, the guy that loaned me money to buy a late model. I mean, how many guys loan a 18-year-old kid,
yeah.
you know, 20 grand to go
right.
buy a used car and motor or whatever, you know, and go racing? And there's been so many people along the way that have helped out here or there, you know,
right.
guys that decided to flip a tire bill for me for a year or whatever, you know, and all that, like, just all that adds up to now and getting you where you're at, you know.
Yeah.
And so I have a lot of people that I'm appreciative of and that have been part of my story and my coming to where we're at. And
yeah.
so, yeah.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Brent, man, that's been awesome. Great opportunity. Man, I'm thankful that my travels get to sometimes put me in places that I normally wouldn't be, and here I am. So I get to
it's awesome.
record a session with Brent Larson. This is pretty cool.
Yep, we had fun.
Yeah,
it's
been
good.
a good deal.
Appreciate you.
Hope you guys liked it. You catch it every week, Wednesday night, 7 p.m. That's the goal anyway. Sometimes work schedules and other racing schedules don't always permit it, but we'll do the best we can. We'll make it happen. So, again, hope you guys all like it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and tell all your friends. And like I say every week, we'll see you at the track next week. Thanks.
Perfect.
That was awesome.
Good deal.